People who live here use the Vicksburg National Military Park daily. It is not unusual to see people walking, jogging, or biking the park roads, often with friends, family, and pets. Yes, when the sun is shining and the sky is blue, there is no better place to be. But what about when the sun sinks low below the horizon and the moon hangs in the western sky and the mist rises from the shadows of the deep woods? Then it is best to be elsewhere. The spring of 1863 was a dark time for the United States. The war was not going well. Upon hearing the news of the Union defeat at Chancellorsville, Lincoln cried out, my God, what will the people say?" Perhaps it was this near desperation that led a young general named Ulysses S. Grant to embark on a very bold and risky plan to capture the fortress city of Vicksburg and thus shorten this long and bloody war. Crossing the river 30 miles south of the city, in the largest amphibious landing between Xerxes' invasion of Greece in 480 BC and the Allied landing in Normandy in 1944, fighting his way through over 100 miles of hostile territory before assaulting and besieging the city. With the city's surrender July 4th, the war turns around. U.S. Grant is catapulted into the history books as one of America's great heroes. But this did not come without great cost and loss of life. And many of those lives lost occurred as men charged across clear-cut fields against well-armed and entrenched enemies in what would today be considered suicidal missions. At the conclusion of the campaign, almost 20,000 casualties would have occurred. It was roughly the same number of casualties as the war in Afghanistan, 2001 to present. Today, the Vicksburg National Military Park commemorates the great sacrifices of these men of both North and South. The park is beautiful, and almost ironically, a place of great peace and beauty on a field that must have seemed hell on earth in that long ago spring and summer. The many markers and monuments bear the images and names of uncounted thousands of souls who no longer reside on this plane of existence. Thousands departed this earthly realm right here. But even those who joined their comrades years or decades later must have borne the scars of this place for the rest of their lives. But you would never guess that as you drive through this place on a beautiful sunny day. For among the mute bronze and marble visages, you will see the sights and sounds of life and happiness. For you see, the park today attracts people from around the world and around the corner. But people do not routinely travel these roads at night. In fact, the park closes to the public at 5 p.m. And shortly after the gates are locked, the rangers sweep the roads to ensure that drivers are on their way toward the nearest exit, long before dark. Most of those walking, running, or biking too will be out of the park before the sun sinks below the horizon. But every now and then, someone will misjudge the time, especially in the fall when the days grow short and the darkness comes much earlier. This is exactly what happened to a local resident not long ago. This lady is a race walker, and quite a good one as well, often competing in amateur races and invariably finishing one of the top times in her age category. She can walk faster than many of us can run, and she can often be seen walking the park roads in the evenings. One day she misjudged her time, and as the sun touched the western horizon, she was still miles from her car. But she pushed on, as there was really no other choice. As the light began to fade, she heard footsteps behind her on the road. A quick glance over her shoulder, but she saw no one. Moments passed, and again she heard the footsteps, louder, closer. Again, a glance over her shoulder revealed only an empty road. And in the gathering gloom, a sudden feeling of dread begins growing in her. She picks up her pace. The sound is now of many running feet. She breaks into a run as voices, men's voices, angry men's voices, can now be made out. She is moving now at a speed that might rival an Olympic sprinter, and yet the voices and the running feet are still gaining. Cresting a slight rise, she sees a solitary man on a bicycle up ahead. Someone she knows, another park regular who has misjudged the time. She cries out to him, and he stops as she rushes up. Together, they turn to face the unknown threat. But the road behind them is quiet and empty. No angry men are anywhere to be seen. The only sound is that of the crickets chirping. For the moment has passed. This window to the past is closed. And they walk together back to their cars. This lady can still be seen walking the park each evening, but she is always careful to be safe at home long before sunset.